Hello there. First, Kejang Henry Atembe with the headlines.
The UPC party has vowed to take legal action after the tomb of Cameroonian nationalist Ernest Ubanji was desecrated Monday in Bafoussam. The profanation of the resting place of the national hero followed recent insults directed at him by the likes of Aber Elimbi Lobe, who referred to him as a bandit. The eldest member of Cameroon's parliament has urged political actors across the country to proceed with caution. Who was addressing fellow MPs early today in Yaoundé, said President Biya deserves respect for advancing Cameroon's democracy. And beyond Cameroon, in a bold move, President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic The decision is of filling key government posts. Stay tuned for full development.
Canal International. Canal International.
Desecration of the tomb has been condemned as both a crime and a lobby for nation to book and to justice.
Cameroonian nationalists that legal complaints will be filed against those involved in the desecration and profanation of the tomb. The act is considered a serious crime and a disrespect to the nation.
Avant la fin de la journée, une plainte sera déposée.
Misheka Eklador Penkwa Ernest Wanji calling the nationalists a bandit. This insult, according to UPC Secretary General, has gone unpunished by the government, highlighting the lack of accountability for such attacks on national heroes.
Ernest Wanji a été traité de bandit dans les médias et il n'y a pas eu de suite, au contraire.
Eyewitnesses reported
Alain François, ce qu'on a tombé là, c'est écrasé le tout. Bon, en partant, on me demandé que il va faire comment de cette tombe-là. Il m'a dit en question que non, il va envoyer la délégation. Bon, il ne connaît pas quelle délégation il s'agit. Il m'a dit qu'il partait dans une autre tombe aussi pour faire aussi la même chose. Non?
The once pristine state of the tomb has been left in disarray after the incident. Ernest Wanji was assassinated in 1971 and was buried at the Evangelical Church Plateau Cemetery in the West Region. He is widely regarded as a Cameroonian hero and martyr for his contributions to the country's fight for independence.
And elsewhere, 2 gangs believed to be responsible for the murder of 4 persons at Sikum, that's in the Sanaga Maritime Division of the Littoral, have been obliged to reenact their crime under the watchful eyes of officials of the Littoral Judicial Police. Gang leaders Roger and Omega, along with their accomplices, used machetes and daggers to overpower and silence their victims before stealing their rights, including some where human skeletal remains were discovered about a month ago, have been identified, and investigations are ongoing to identify other potential accomplices. Now, Cameroon's lone electricity provider, NAO, claims that over the past 10 years, that's over the past decade, it has spent over 400 billion CFA francs to expand access to its grid. However, on the ground, human rights defense groups, yes, Gladys Ambondibang.
Over the past 10 years, NAO, the National Electricity Distribution Company, claims it has invested 400 billion CFA francs to improve power distribution and expand access to more homes. According to the company, the electricity access rate has risen from 56% to 75%, with 1.2 million new households connected to the national grid. However, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Consumer protection groups argue that electricity production remains insufficient, making the company's optimistic outlook questionable.
Eneo dit avoir investi 400 milliards de francs CFA.
Eneo has invested 400 billion CFA francs over 10 years, and this is only about 10% of its 5,000 billion CFA turnover generated. This is insufficient for Cameroon's energy needs. Eneo must at least quadruple its investment to ensure reliable electricity nationwide.
Across Cameroon, frequent power outages continue to disrupt daily life. The Cameroon Consumers Foundation insists that despite significant investments, service delivery is still far from ideal.
Il est hors de question qu'on continue d'utiliser la lampe tempête.
In 2025, power outages and reliance on oil lamps remain unacceptable. We demand uninterrupted electricity and the application of the 50 CFA per kilowatt high voltage tariff to middle-class households.
A major pain point remains the southern interconnected grid, where supply deficit persists. The Menvele Dam, expected to be a reliable power source. Technical challenges with the seventh turbine have further complicated the situation.
Sonatrel's maintenance work is disrupting the 220 kilovolt transmission lines. Kribi's 210 megawatt gas plant has halted production due to payment issues. However, if the Bamba, Kribi and Menvele operate at full capacity and Nactiga remains regulated, significant improvements are expected by March or April.
While Eneo insists that improvements are on the horizon, the reality remains uncertain.
And elsewhere, the National Union of Teachers of Higher Education in Cameroon, abridged CNES, has called for a cessation of all academic and research activities nationwide on Wednesday, March the 12th. The call is intended to demonstrate compassion and solidarity with the families of two researchers and a guide who were reportedly mistaken for Boko Haram fighters and burnt alive on Sunday, March the 2nd. Mounsi Frederic, Bello Bienvenu and their guide were ambushed and killed at the Soule de Rua locality in the Mayotanaga division of the country's far north region. We now take you over to the capital, Yaoundé, where the March session of Parliament formally opened this day. Eldest member Laurentine Koa prescribed caution ahead of the October presidential election. Apart from hailing President Paul Biya's role in advancing Cameroon's democracy, she called for a peaceful electoral process and for all actors to prioritize the nation's future over personal ambitions. Hyacinth Chia now reports from Yaoundé.
It is the first parliamentary session at the new Ngwaikele Glass House in Yaoundé. Members of Parliament in their first legislative come together in 2025. The March ordinary session chaired by the eldest member of the House and accompanied by two youngest as stipulated by the parliamentary laws. In her capacity as the eldest, Laurentine Koa Fede delivers an opening address with focus on the 2025 presidential election. To the electoral body, she urges the structure to organize the polls in all fairness to avoid post-electoral agitations. To the political leaders, she called for more responsible manner of galvanizing electors without instigating violence. And to the legal entities involved, the MP demands the strict respect of the law, not influenced by some actors. Talking largely on President Paul Biya, Laurentine Koa Fede insists that the head of state is and will remain the architect of Cameroon democracy. Present at the hemicycle during the opening ceremony is the government bench led by the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Joseph John Gote, as well as members of the diplomatic corps. The March session, it should be recalled, will witness the election of the new bureau.
Meanwhile, members of Parliament of opposition fabric have rubbished that opening address by Laurentine Koa. They call it part of advanced campaign strategies for President Paul Biya. They say rather than address pertinent issues, she sidestepped all of these and was beating the drums, the campaign drums in reality, for the ruling CPDM party. Some of them have been speaking to Hyacinth Chia.
Very disappointed to listen to that speech because it is not normal to come here in the National Assembly and begin the campaign of a political leader. I think it is one opinion, and many other Cameroonians have different opinion concerning the democracy in our country. We all remember what happened in 1990 when we were fighting to have democracy in this country, and we lose the life of many citizens. It is not normal to come out and say that democracy is only voluntary, said Mr. Paul Biya. It's not normal. We are not agree with that. The Cameroonian people fight to have democracy. The Cameroonian people continue to fight to make this democracy become a reality in our country. It is not acceptable. We didn't come here in the opening of this session to make campaign in favor of one political actor. It was not. Even our National Assembly has its own problem. And as member of parliament, we were waiting for her to talk about our own problem, using this opportunity.
I think we want to place the cart before the horse. And that's very, very dangerous for us. As Cameroonians, we should have already understood that Cameroonians are getting very, very impatient with the way things are turning in this country. Politically, let's be very sincere. We expected that by now, or in a few days' time, in a few months' time before elections, that's what Cameroonians are expecting. We expect to know or to hear that there is some constitutional amendment. There's some constitutional reforms. In Cameroon today, there is total collapse of trust in the economy because people are suffering. We are talking about corruption. We are talking about taxing people beyond taxable capacity. And that is the situation. High prices, inflation, unemployment, all those things are there. But the resources are in a few hands. There is no Cameroonian who would like war. There is no Cameroonian who wants to destabilize this country. People are talking out of frustration. And the only thing that the government should do is to listen to the people and do what is right.
Now let's talk smart technologies in this edition, including especially artificial intelligence, which are transforming public service delivery across Africa. Experts, however, warn that rising costs could eventually outpace the benefits, and they are calling for balanced regulations that protect consumers. Gladys Ambondibang once again.
In a world increasingly powered by artificial intelligence, how can Africa embrace innovation while safeguarding its consumers? This was the key question at the 21st Annual Conference of the African Forum for Public Service Regulation held recently in Douala. According to experts, smart technologies are revolutionizing public services, but the price tag is fast rising, and so the major challenge is keeping services affordable without stifling innovation.
The regulator has the role to secure transparency, has the role to secure competition, collaboration, promote digital inclusiveness, and to create a flexible framework.
With over 30 African nations represented, the Douala Conference provided a platform for the sharing of best practices, exploring new ideas, and socio-economic in the tech age. Experts say cooperation among African nations has never been more critical.
The use of intelligent technology in utilities. How does the regulator promote innovation while protecting consumers? In the last decade, the evolution of digital technology has disrupted traditional utility models, fundamentally changing the way electricity, water, gas, transport, and telecommunication services are delivered and managed.
Cameroon, the proud host of this year's event, welcomed leaders from across the continent, including regulators from key institutions like ANTIC, ARCEL, and the National Communication Council. The final objective, according to the attendees, is to strengthen regulatory frameworks and boost infrastructure development across Africa through collaboration, innovation, and protection for the consumer and for the continent.
And elsewhere, nutritionists insist that fruits constitute an essential part of any balanced diet, considering rather that they are loaded with milk. Across Cameroon has pushed many households to save their basic staples. Gladys Sambondi Bang once again.
For many Cameroonian households, particularly those in lower income brackets, daily food choices revolve around affordability. As the cost of living continues to rise, families are left making difficult decisions about their meals. For some, fruits are considered non-essential due to their high price tags.
I rarely eat fruit and essential foods like bananas, cassava, maize and rice. Besides, where do we even get the money for fruits? They are not affordable.
Others echo similar concerns, highlighting the tough choices they must make between nutrition and survival.
The cost of living in Cameroon is too high. When you think about setting aside money for fruits, the question is whether more important than your children's breakfast. When we compare the two, breakfast takes priority.
But for some, incorporating fruit into their diet is not a matter of affordability, but of necessity. Many believe that fruits play a crucial role in maintaining good health.
I consume a lot of fruits because I was sick. I had a stroke. I was advised to eat plenty of fruits to strengthen my bone. So
nutrition experts emphasize that fruits are not just an addition to meals, but a fundamental part of a healthy diet. They argue that consuming a variety of fruits daily can boost the immune system, improve digestion, and reduce the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes.
And finally, let's go beyond Cameroon now to the DR Congo, where President Felix Tshisekedi has appointed his 20-year-old daughter, Christiana Tshisekedi, as his personal secretary. The appointment has sparked a wave of criticism. Christiana, a graduate in communications, will share the role with two others. She nonetheless becomes the youngest person to hold the position. While some view the move as nepotism, others argue she's very qualified for the job. And that's why we pull the curtains on tonight's edition of the news. Thanks for your company. Accept the best of greetings.
Canal International.